During 20 years of doing executive search, I found that there wasn't a huge correlation between success and happiness. I got to interview so many people, many just like you, who were successful in their careers, who had done all the hard work, who had aimed for the promotion, who had aimed for the raise, who had tried to do everything just so to position themselves just right. And yet they found themselves turning around one day and saying, I filled in all the check boxes, so why is something still empty? Now, when I was doing search, I looked for 5 particular things. I looked for hunger, weight, tenacity, speed, and grit. Now, subject matter expertise was important, but I really felt that anybody could learn that on the job or from a book. What I really wanted to see was whether or not they had it in them when everything went wrong to make everything right. And the result of that is what's coming out of my new book in April, Limitless: How to Ignore Everybody, Carve Your Own Path, and Live Your Best Life. Now, in the run-up to the book, I've been asked by a lot of people, well, what else can I be reading? And so I want to tell you guys about 4 books that I am loving right now. And in the run-up to my book, I also thought I'd make it a little fun and create a little bit of a contest. So I'm going to tell you about some books that I love, and if you want to sign up and maybe see if you can win one of them, I'll tell you that there are multiple ways you can do it. So first, I want you to look down here and see some links on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's just at HeyLGO. So that's the first way. The second way, again, look down here, you can subscribe to my newsletter. And in that newsletter, you're going to get a question. And in that question, I want you to tell me one thing that you want to do to make some improvement in your life. Now, my book's going to help you do that, but before we get to my book, I want to tell you about some other books that I love. Fearless Leadership by Carrie Lawrence. Carrie is a pretty big badass. She was the U.S. Navy's first female F-14 Tomcat fighter pilot. Pretty impressive stuff. But what's amazing about Carrie is that she takes everything that she's learned and she distills them in this book into her 3 fundamental elements of real leadership. And that's courage, tenacity, and integrity. Not only does Carrie go through that in this book, but she also tells you real life stories, both from her at that moment when you're trying to figure out how to go from dead stopped to up in the air at the end of a giant boat in the middle of the water. Seems pretty scary, but also tells you how to do it in real life situations in the companies that she's worked and consulted with for years since. So that's Fearless Leadership by Carrie Lawrence. Now, I'll tell you another thing about Carrie. She actually puts this into practice. Carrie is somebody who, when I was writing my book, came to me and said, you know, your book is really good, and you're really smart, but you're too smart for your book to just be good. It's got to be really great. And then she sat with me and helped me make it really great. So I can tell you that both from the life that she's led, the stories that she tells, and my own personal experience, if you want to experience fearless leadership, this is the book for you. On the Edge by Allison Levine. Allison was the captain of the first female American, she was the captain of the first American female Everest expedition. Now, I want you to imagine that you're 26,000 feet above sea level, and you are just hundreds of feet from the top, and you have trained, and you have worked, and you have pushed yourself beyond your limits to get to the top of that mountain, and all of a sudden a storm rolls in. What do? This is how you figure out exactly what you're made of and who you are. Do you keep going and risk the lives of everyone in your crew? Or do you turn around and know that you did what you could? Allison takes the lessons that she's learned both from her own experience climbing Mount Everest twice, as well as skiing on the North Pole and the South Pole and hiking almost every major mountain in this planet. Allison's amazing. On the Edge is another fantastic book where you can learn leadership lessons from somebody who has walked the walk and who talks the talk. Brené Brown's Dare to Lead. We spent a lot of time thinking about what leadership is made of and what it looks like in the suit that shows up in the office. But we don't spend a ton of time thinking about what's inside and that empathy and that courage and that connection. And these are such important skills that Brené talks about in her book. She spent 2 decades studying the emotions and the experiences of leaders around the globe and working with organizations from nonprofits to corporations. Brene knows what it takes to create daring, courageous leaders who lead with their whole heart. So as you're thinking about those 5 things that I talked about, tenacity, speed, hunger, weight, and grit, none of that actually means anything unless you can bring what's inside, unless you can bring that whole heart to it as well. You are a badass. It's true, you are. 2019 is going to be the year where I want you to stop telling yourself that story that you're not enough and that you're not smart enough and you're not clever enough and you're not brave enough or you're not strong enough or you're not whatever enough. You are a badass. There's a badass inside of you, and Jen Sincero is going to help you get it out. So if you are ready to stop doubting your greatness, and if you are ready to kick some serious butt, and if you're ready to stop telling yourself that ridiculous cockamamie story that you can't do it, this book is going to help you get yourself out of your own way and find that inner badass that we all know you have inside of you. 4 books. That's what I'm telling you about today, and that's what I want to send to you. So if you sign up, again, below, multiple ways to earn points, follow me on social, subscribe to my newsletter, answer a question about what it is that you're going to do to make a change. Any small thing you're going to do to make a change in your life so that you can find the thing that is inside of you that makes you so super great. I'll send you one of these books if you win the contest. So sign up today, send it out to your friends. I can't wait to see what you have to say.